popularity. But this England elections, have they been on already for planned, or was it just out of the blue? Because to me it was a surprise that in England it was happening now as well.
Well, in England, the government that's in power, basically they can call an election whenever they want.
But was the term over already?
But the term was over. They had the longest possible time they could have before they had to call an election, which tells you something.
Exactly.
They wanted to cling on to power as long as they could. So this really was the latest that they could have called it. They have to now have an election. And I mean, the current, the Labour government, led by Gordon Brown, is certainly not looking like it's going to do very well at all. But at the same time, we're probably looking at a situation where no one party will win full power, which I know in many countries that's normal. In England, that's almost unheard of.
No coalition.
No, it's not happened for quite a few years. So this is going to be quite a shake-up for the country if that happens. But, I mean, of course, what's also happening is you'll see more support for some of the more extremist groups, like the British National Party or the UK Independence Party. You know, they think that we should be much more far away from Europe, we shouldn't have so much immigration, all of this. There's massive debates going on in the whole country about that. And I think we will see, you know, more support for those parties too, I believe.
Okay, so it's going to be an interesting time for England as well.
It is, because I think whoever wins, they're going to have an extremely difficult time in the next couple of years. There's been some financial think tanks that have come forward saying whichever party wins, or even if there's a coalition, they are going to have to make the biggest financial cuts that Britain has seen in 40 years. And of course that's going to lead to trouble, hopefully not as bad as what Greece is seeing at the moment, but I think we are going to see people really realise how badly handled the whole system has been for years. This is the problem, is that we have people like Gordon Brown who really should have seen this coming. He was Chancellor of the Exchequer, in charge of the money for many years, trying to tell us he will be the one to put it right, but of course in most people's eyes, he's the one that's helped lead us into this bad financial situation in the first place. So, but I know that sounds very trivial, but what it's doing is leading people to ask much deeper questions about, you know, well, what is going on in Afghanistan? What was the war on terror all about? And therefore, if you show them, well, yes, actually there are things you've not been told, they're becoming much more open to hearing that.
So does in UK you can see a broader awakening by the masses as well?
Yes.
Okay.
What's very interesting is that, of course, the media doesn't always present this. I mean, the media, particularly the BBC, for instance, has had a lot of what you can only really call propaganda about global warming, man-made global warming. They've been promoting this as a fact for a long, long time. And yet, when you look at the polls, when they have votes on this kind of thing, still the majority of people in Britain don't believe in man-made global warming. So although the media is saying one thing, and if you tuned into the radio, you would imagine everybody believed that, they don't. And so many people question, and of course recently we had the release of these emails from this university, which... Climate Gate, as they called it. Now all the reports, there's studies that are now going on saying, oh, it was nothing, they just made a few mistakes. The reality is, if you look at those emails, there, without any question, is an attempt to mislead the public about the nature of climate change. It's beyond doubt. And although they're now trying to smooth that over, people are not accepting that. Now the questions have begun, and they're thinking, well, if we can't trust people like the universities or the Met Office, well, why can't we have our own opinion on it? And so they're making up their own minds based on what they can see. And I mean, I'm not a climatologist. I can't prove whether global warming is or isn't happening, but certainly the data is extremely contradictory.
And next to that, we had, of course, last year this whole vaccination agenda, which opened the eyes of a lot of people as well, at least here in Holland it did.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
Well, it started off with this HPV vaccination in springtime by young women from 12 till 16, and there was a whole anti-campaign in the alternative media, and which our network station, our media also played a big role. And through that, only half, not even half of the invited girls came to get their HPV vaccination, the Cervarix, this story. And then we had this H1N1 vaccination agenda, which was a big hoax as well.
So it was
many people started to think and ask questions, why are they pressing us with so many vaccinations, and they are even busy with more and more different types of vaccinations. What do they want with us? Also, on that level, we had a lot of anti-sounds here in Holland, which made people aware. And now, in the last month, we had a second HPV vaccination round, and we didn't hear anything about it in the media. Just last Saturday, or earlier this week, there was a small article which said that 53% of the girls showed up for this vaccination, which is still not what they wanted, but anyway, more than last time. But this is all happening, and this is all part of this bigger agenda.
It is.
Another part is, and that's what I stumbled upon yesterday, I want to confront you with that, and it was a story that I was confronted with by a friend. It deals with the British Queen, Elizabeth. She said that based upon all documents, and also reinforced by Churchill and Roosevelt, that she is the owner of Washington DC, and that there were Benjamin Fulford made this story, and that there were financial obligations from the United States to the Crown, English Crown, and they haven't been fulfilled or been paid off, and therefore the Queen said, Washington DC is mine and get out of it. What do you think of that story?
I have to say I had not heard that story. Has there been any official reaction to this at all?
Well,
is this a statement from the Queen herself?
Well, that's what I will look. I will look in my computer whether I can find this. Let's see.
I mean, obviously, people have long said the British monarchy does hold still a lot of influence over American politics even today, but it's just not declared, it's under the surface.
Yeah, exactly, but do you believe that this would be a possibility?
I find it hard to believe that the Queen would suddenly stir up such huge trouble between Britain and America at this time. It's not impossible that there is some technical loophole that does make Washington belong to her. If that were the case, I'm sure that she probably wouldn't push it. But
the United States actually never got really independence, did it? It's still, just like Canada and all the Commonwealth countries are still English Crown colonies.
Well, it's somewhere in the small print. I think there's probably a truth to that. But I suppose we just we pretend that that's not the case. So, maybe we'll be getting America back sometime soon then as a part of Britain. But somehow I'm doubting that's going to happen. Probably more the other way around. I think we'll be made a state of America.
Just looking into this theory, huh? Look, you obviously know the Empire of the Cities, this movie, don't you?
Remind me which one we're talking about here.
Now, well, it's about the three cities that are states within a state. It's based upon Washington DC, which is a state in itself, with its own laws, and apart from the whole American Union laws, the federal laws, the city of London, which is the military center of the world, of the powers that be. You've got the City of London, which is the financial part, with the Rothschilds and the Bank of England, and which owns half of the world or even more. And then we've got the Vatican, which is also a city within a state, with its own laws, with its own army, and apart from the federal laws of Italy. So, if you would think that, well, the economic powers